Join me in unprepared hiking newbie as I tackle 630 scorching miles of the southwest coastal path during one of the hottest summers in UK history. There was a heat wave, a drought, and no clue what I was doing. I did it all to raise money for cancer research and Macmillan cancer support. Expect pain, tears, joy, and highly questionable life choices. Let's get into it. Day 12. Yesterday I finished up in Longrock. I just couldn't go any further. My knee was hurting so much, couldn't make it to Marazion. So we're only like a tiny bit away from Marazion now. So today we're doing Longrock to Porthleven. Hoping to get as far as Porthleven. If I can get further than that, amazing. If not, Porthleven will do. And it should just take me a few hours. To get from Praa Sands to Marazion, it's just this flat concrete path which really plays up on my joints. I find this the most painful part of the whole walk, which is crazy really. And it's just a couple of miles of this. But you do get this stunning view of St Michael's Mount. And you look at that the whole time. For these long, tarmacy, flat sections, I've resigned myself to putting in some gel orthotics to change up the profile of my shoes. That's quite rude, wasn't it? The shoes that I'm wearing are Ultra Superior 4.5s and they're zero drop trainers, which means that there's basically no heel in them and they're completely flat. And because they're trail running shoes as well, trail running shoes don't have any sort of arch support in them because the terrain you're going over is always like rugged. So I found that when you're walking on the flat for a long time it can get a little bit painful, and I've got a pronated left foot. So arch support really helps with that, and the arch in that foot is kind of getting a little bit sore now. So yeah, slip the orthotics in, change up my walking style a little bit more, because all orthotics basically increase your heel. So I've got a slight lift in the heel now, make it a little bit easier to walk. So, and it also means that I'm going to be heel striking a little bit more rather than mid-foot striking. So yeah, it makes it a little bit more comfortable for a little while. But the problem is because I'm not really used to wearing orthotics, because I've been wearing zero drop shoes now for probably 3-4 years. It's a tad weird for my body. So I've got kind of the opposite problem. A lot of people that go to zero drop shoes have a lot of problems in the back of their foot, their Achilles tendon, whereas I've got this problem that my brain doesn't really understand what's going on with my feet right now. So I can only wear orthotics for a short period of time, otherwise they start doing me damage to my body, because my body is sort of like trying to make up for it, and that's probably where a little bit of my knee pains come from, I think. But it's making this little bit walking a little bit easier this morning, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yesterday was a lot of granite sort of boulders along the path, and it was really hard because it was up and down over these little boulders, and it just slows you down so much. All right. So I think that the next few sections, we've left the Cornish granite landscape behind us, and then towards Porthleven I'm hoping that it's a different type of a rock, so the path is a little bit more passable. Also yesterday it was seriously overgrown, which also made it really hard moving, especially in shorts. Got some little buddies here. Now walking along the beach, which is worse than walking along tarmac. I feel like I'm moaning all the time. Now walking along Marazion beach. The path ended. But look at that. That's St Michael's Mount National Trust. You can get to the mount at high tide by a kind of like car boat. It's got big wheels on and it just drives along a track. I think it's a car boat. Yeah, it used to be, or a boat. And however, when the tide's out, there is a path that goes all the way to the mount, and you can walk all the way to the mount. So, but you have to do that at low tide. And people actually live on the mount, and they have to get to school as well. And sometimes when it's really stormy in the winter, the kids on the mount can't get to school because they're stuck on the island, which I think is quite funny. So I think I might have gone the wrong way. I should be up there in the sand dunes. So I'm going to see if I can make my way up there without damaging any of the dunes. We've come up on the main road out of Marazion now, and we're going to hook back on to the coastal path. And I'm a little bit nervous about today. Today's the first day since my injury that I've had a full pack on. But however, I've made some serious adjustments to my pack to reduce the pack weight. Every little counts. I didn't quite realise that at the start. So I started out with a big gas canister. Not massive, but it was 350 grams. I think it's about 200ml canister. And I've swapped that out for 100ml canister, and that weighs about 150 grams. My backpack was probably the biggest weight saving. As you can see, I've got this brand new to Decathlon ultralight rucksack, and it weighs 1.3 kilos. My old backpack weighed 1.75 kilos, so I've saved a massive 400 grams with the rucksack. And this pack is pretty comfortable. I've been wearing it now for 4 or 5 days, not fully loaded, but it's definitely doing a really good job of distributing the weight. Sometimes the straps seem to come a little bit loose, so I've got to hoik them up. But apart from that, it's a really great pack, and my mobile phone actually fits in the pocket now, which is amazing. And I wish I'd done that on the first day, because that was when I smashed my phone up. The main drawback of this is I'm a little skinny guy, and I can't seem to get the waistband tight enough. So that's a little downside for me. I can just hoik it tight enough that it's resting on my hips. However, I am losing weight on the walk, so hopefully by the end of it, the pack won't be hanging off me, and I won't have to support all the weight on my shoulders. I also swapped out the silk liner. No, I also swapped out my sleeping bag liner for a silk liner, and that saved me probably another 100 grams. So I must be getting pretty close to a kilo. Oh wow, look at that. I've also swapped out my ground sheet. I had some leftover Tyvek waterproof membrane that I was using as a ground sheet, and that weighed about 250 grams. I think 250 or 350 grams. It weighed quite a lot. And I picked up a sheet of polycryo, which actually is window sort of protection film. Apparently, I've not tried it out yet, but that's cut the weight of my pack, or that's cut the weight down from that 250 grams of Tyvek down to 50 grams of the polycryo. So I'm looking forward to trying that. The good thing about the Tyvek is that it's probably a little bit more durable in this rocky terrain, and if it gets wet, the Tyvek, it allows moisture to go through it, whereas the polycryo is just going to get wet. So we'll see how that goes. So we're heading back down to the coastal path now. after being rerouted. Special thank you to Malcolm, the taxi driver this morning. He won't be watching this, but he was really very kind and didn't ask me to pay him this morning once I told him the story about why I was doing this. And he talked to me about, you know, his wife's battle with cancer. And, you know, what I was doing really sort of meant a lot to him. So yeah, he didn't charge me. And he told me to go get a proper pasty from the lizard. So I'm definitely gonna have to get a pasty for Malcolm. So yeah, thank you Malcolm, that was very kind, if you do ever stumble upon this. This part of the walk so far has been lovely, rolling ups and downs. However, this part of the path seems like it turns into a river when it's raining. So it's a little bit trickier. Oh, the breeze is lovely. Ooh. It's a muggy day again today. It's supposed to be sunny, but it's pretty muggy, overcast, but it's so warm still. I was saying earlier about that the geology is going to change from Cape Cornwall to this part, and as you can see it has, and it's changed to slate. And when you're walking along the path, the slate has a tendency to erode due to foot erosion, so it means that the path is much nicer to walk across than the granite counterparts, because it's almost been smoothed by the foot traffic. Which I'm very appreciative of. Makes it a little bit easier. Some of these stiles are super high. I wasn't expecting that when I stepped over this one. Give me a little bit of vertigo really. Yesterday we started around the corner there at Porthleven. We walked all the way around this headland, and then we basically walked through jungle all the way to Marazion. Then we walked to Newlyn, which is pretty close to Penzance. Then we walked all the way along the beachfront to Longrock, stopped in Longrock, just 2 miles outside of Marazion. Then we walked all the way to Marazion this morning, and then I think that's Peppercorn Beach. There's a lovely little cafe down there. While we're stopping, I didn't stop today, but definitely worth stopping there. And then across these undulating hills, and today's walk's been pretty nice so far. Lovely weather. I quite like it being overcast, so you're not getting hit by the hard sun. And there's a nice little breeze up here. And there's St Michael's Mount, different view of St Michael's Mount. And we've pretty much walked all the way around St Michael's Mount in the past 2 days. Seems crazy to think a week ago, or less than a week ago, I was the other side of Cornwall on the other coastline. So now I've just got to figure out which way I go from here. That way I think. And in the background over here you can see Porthleven, which is first stop of the day. Might be the last stop of the day, we'll see how I feel. And then all the way down the bottom over there is the lizard. And I'd love to get to the lizard today. It's just if my knees hold out. So don't know where I'm going to end up, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep walking as long as I can and see where I end up in the end. And if I have to wild camp tonight, then I have to wild camp tonight. But I'm pretty hopeful I can do get to the lizard. But that would be a big 20-mile day, well, plus 20 miles, probably about a 24-mile day, so I'm not sure about that. We'll see what happens when we get to Porthleven. The sun's come out today, and it is hot. It's like being burnt. But I'm making pretty good progress today, so I'm not going to slow down. Next stop is Praa Sands and then on to Porthleven. In fact, I've just spotted Praa Sands, just there. We got here really fast. I think I might just, I don't know, I might either going to stop if I see somewhere, or there's some nice places in Porthleven, so I think I might stop there and then reassess what I'm going to do the rest of the day. But I feel pretty up for continuing to walk, but I need to find a campsite on the Lizard that is close to the path, because I think a lot of them are not close to the path, and I think a lot of them are up hills, so I'm not really game for that. We'll see how we get on. Okay, so we're just leaving Praa Sands and had a nice little lunch. Feeling a bit refreshed. Sun's out though. That means it's really warm. And we're about to go into the sand dunes. And I found that like sand dunes are some of the hottest places, especially because there's no breeze. And they seemingly take forever to walk through sometimes. Depends how compact the sand is. I'm hoping it's going to be pretty compact. But we'll see how we get along. Shouldn't take too long to get to Porthleven now. Maybe an hour, hour and a half. And then when I get to Porthleven or somewhere high up where I've got signal, I'm going to have a look at campsites in the area, find one close to the path. A few miles away from Porthleven, because I've still got loads of time left of the day, so I'd still like to keep walking, and I still feel good. But I don't think there's that many sites near the path, and I kind of want to stay near the path, because every mile is sort of wasted really off the path. So I'll have to do some Google mappage later. But until then, we're going to walk through these dunes. I'm at Rincey Head now, and just down the path there is another really great astrophotography place. It's the restored wheels house down here at Rincey Point. We're back into the granite here. Rocky granite headlands, which are, you know, spectacular really. Spectacular views. Gotta be careful along here. Been a lot of deaths apparently. There's a lot of rat warren paths, and apparently some of them go off the cliff, so sticking to the coastal path arrows, which is now going to take me inland a little bit. The section behind me has been the hardest bit all day. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah, I'm pretty worn out after that. Still, I think that we're not very far now from, I don't even know where we're going. Porthleven, there we go. Yeah, just a few more hills. If you've made it this far, hit like, subscribe and ring that bell. You won't want to miss what's coming up. The terrain gets tougher, the sun gets hotter, and let's just say things don't exactly go to plan. Fundraising links for cancer research and Macmillan cancer support are below. Your support means everything. Tune in next time to see how I handle one of the wildest stretches yet.